Did you know that the single most important safety device in your car wasn't invented by a car company, but by an aircraft engineer? And the story behind why it's in every car for free is even more incredible. Let's rewind the clock. In the early days of driving, cars were nicknamed death traps. Getting into an accident was terrifyingly final. Dashboards were solid, unforgiving steel. Steering columns were rigid spears pointed right at the driver's chest, and the seat next to the driver. It was grimly known as the death seat because that's where passengers were most likely to be thrown through the windshield. Before the invention we all know today, some cars offered a simple 2-point lap belt. It was better than nothing, but it had a fatal flaw. In a crash, it would hold your hips in place, but your upper body would violently snap forward. This was called the clasp knife effect, and it often led to devastating internal injuries. The solution was clearly incomplete. This is where our hero, Nils Bohlin, enters the story. Bohlin wasn't a car guy. He worked for the Swedish aerospace company, Saab, designing something entirely different: ejection seats for fighter pilots. He was an expert in how the human body behaved under extreme G-forces. His life's work was literally about saving people from high-speed disasters. So why did he switch from planes to cars? The answer lies with Gunnar Angelo, the president of Volvo at the time. Angelo had tragically lost a relative in a car accident, and it deeply affected him. He became obsessed with making cars safer. He knew Volvo needed an expert, someone who understood biomechanics and extreme forces. So he poached Nils Bohlin from Saab with a single, crucial mission: create a seatbelt that actually works. Bohlin approached the problem with a fresh perspective. He laid out a few simple but brilliant principles. First, the belt had to secure both the upper and lower body. Second, it had to anchor to the strongest parts of the human skeleton: the pelvis and the rib cage. Third, and this was key for widespread adoption, it had to be so simple that you could buckle it with just one hand. After countless prototypes, he landed on the perfect design: the 3-point seatbelt. Its elegant V-shape distributed the force of a crash across the strongest parts of the body, keeping the occupants securely in their seat. It was simple, effective, and brilliant. In 1959, Volvo proudly introduced the world's first standard-fit 3-point seatbelt in their PV544 and Amazon models. A new era of automotive safety had begun. But this is where the story takes a legendary turn. Volvo had the patent on this revolutionary, life-saving invention. They could have licensed it for millions, making safety a premium, paid-for feature. They could have kept it exclusive to their own cars for a decade, giving them a massive competitive advantage. But they didn't. In an unprecedented act of corporate generosity, Volvo's management made a historic decision. They believed the 3-point seatbelt was too important to humanity to be locked behind a patent. Safety, they declared, should be for everyone, not just those who could afford a Volvo. So, they made the patent open and gave the design away, completely free, to all of their competitors. They literally gave away the most important safety innovation of the century. The impact of this single decision is staggering. It's estimated that the 3-point seatbelt has saved well over 1 million lives since its introduction. Think about that. Over 1 million families kept whole, 1 million futures preserved, all because one company chose people over profit. Every time you buckle up in any brand of car, you are using a piece of technology that was gifted to the world by Volvo. Think people would have immediately embraced this incredible new safety device, right? Wrong. The public's initial reaction was overwhelmingly negative. People hated it. They complained it was uncomfortable, that it wrinkled their clothes, and that it was an infringement on their personal freedom. Sound familiar? Worse yet, dangerous myths began to spread. The most common one was the fear of being trapped in a burning or sinking car. People imagined being unable to unbuckle themselves in an emergency. But the reality was, and still is, the exact opposite. In a serious crash, the most likeliest thing to prevent you from escaping is being knocked unconscious from hitting the steering wheel or dashboard. The seatbelt is what keeps you conscious and able to escape. To combat this skepticism, Volvo needed proof. In 1967, they conducted a landmark study, analyzing the results of 28,000 real-world car accidents involving their vehicles. The data was undeniable. The 3-point seatbelt reduced serious injuries and fatalities by a staggering 50 to 60%. The numbers didn't lie. Slowly but surely, with irrefutable evidence, public opinion, and eventually, laws began to change. Now, let's talk about some truly mind-blowing facts that show just how vital this invention is. It's estimated that somewhere on Earth, the 3-point seatbelt saves a life every 6 seconds. That's 10 lives, just in the time it took me to say that sentence. And Bohlin's design was so perfect that its basic geometry is still used today, not just in cars, but in the most extreme environments imaginable. High-speed racing cars, from Formula 1 to NASCAR, rely on an evolution of his V-shape principle. Even astronauts, rocketing into space, are strapped into their seats using a harness system that owes its origins to Nils Bohlin's fundamental understanding of human safety. In our modern world of smart cars, crumple zones, and a dozen different airbags, it's easy to overlook the simple strap across your chest. But make no mistake, the seatbelt is still the king of safety. Airbags are technically called supplemental restraint systems for a reason. They are designed to supplement the seatbelt, not replace it. Without a seatbelt, an airbag can be ineffective or even dangerous. The seatbelt is, and remains, your primary line of defense in a crash. So the next time you get in your car and hear that little chime reminding you to buckle up, take a second to think about Nils Bohlin, the aircraft engineer who cared about saving lives. Think about Volvo, the company that gave away its greatest invention for the good of humanity. That simple click isn't an annoyance. It's the sound of a legacy. It's the sound of over 60 years of proven safety, a gift that has saved over 1 million people. It's the single most effective thing you can do to protect yourself in a vehicle. So please, always buckle up. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing stories behind the technology that shapes our world. See you in the next one.